Back to Custom Auto Connection. Today we got this one back. This is the Chrysler 300 with the butterfly doors. What we did to it, we ended up doing some spark plugs, we did an oil change, and we figured out what the evap code was coming out for. Sorry, it's kind of windy, not sure how well you guys can hear me, but the evap code was for a sensor on the evap canister right at the back. What we got going on now is we got a coolant leak, and we are going to figure out exactly from where it's coming from. I'm thinking it's coming from the radiator. I'll go ahead and flip the camera for you guys, show you guys kind of the process on how I dig into it to kind of figure out what's going on here. So right over on this side, it seems to be leaking a bunch. I'm not sure if you guys can see, that's where all the coolant's at. I had this thing running yesterday, kind of picked apart this harness. This just goes over these lines right here. You just gotta pry them upwards, and that way you get a little bit of slack. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and take off this these cooling fans. Let me get to a better angle for you guys. I'm gonna take off these cooling fans right here. It looks like a couple of 10s and just the connector. That way I can expose the actual radiator. This might become a how-to video, I'm not really sure. Could just be diagnosis of where the leak's at. But all I'm pretty much gonna do, and I'll cut the camera back on when I'm done, is I'm gonna disconnect all the connectors, all these plastic connections, like so. And I'm gonna get possibly this air box out the way. More than likely I'll get that out the way. And we'll get these fans out and we'll see what we're working with. The other thing we're gonna have to track down with this car is there's something going on with the suspension over on this side. This wheel, whenever you hit a bump, it sounds really like something's broken there. So we're gonna have to jack this thing up, check out what's going on there. That's possibly the reason why the radiator cracked. I'm pretty sure it's a radiator, but we'll go ahead and find out later on. On this side, let me flip the camera over on this side so I can show you what I'm talking about here. So on this side, I did a little time lapse of removing the wheel well and replacing that sensor. A lot has to probably do with the rims. The rims are so big, there's not a lot of travel room, and they sink up in this car pretty good. I mean, it looks good and all that, so I'm gonna go ahead and look over the suspension with these rims. These rims will work, they look great on it. I think she wants to end up getting these redone, repowder coated. You know, we'll hook her up with all that. We'll get all the quotes done for all of that. But I think the suspension probably needs to need a little bit of an upgrade. So we'll see what we got to do there to make that all happen. So yeah, I'm gonna knock out this these two cooling fans, and we'll see what crack we're working with today. All right, guys. So I got day 2 on this thing. Last night I ended up just taking off the radiator. I'll flip the camera show you guys what to expect. So it's not gonna be a detailed how-to. But I'm kind of describing, you know, what you're going to go through if you have to do a radiator on one of these Chrysler 300s with the 3.5 V6. We went ahead and got the parts. That's part of the reason why I only took it apart yesterday, was because I needed to get parts. But let me flip the camera for you guys. So we got our 2 gallons of coolant. Got to watch my dog because coolant and animals don't mix well. We ended up getting some lug nuts because we diagnosed the problem of whenever you hit a bump, it's sounding pretty much like the wheel wants to fall off. To this right here, we got like 4 different lug nuts. This one's missing. I'm gonna try to zoom in there for you guys. Let's see if I can zoom in. Sorry, I kind of bumped the mic a little bit there. But it looks like there was a lug nut that was actually drilled off. That stud, I'm going to go ahead and recommend we change out that actual stud. But, you know, maybe one will thread on in the meantime. You know, it really won't do nothing. But it's going to be a better situation than what we got. I'm going to go ahead and check the other lug nuts before we throw these guys on. And then over here we got our radiator. They had like 4 different radiators. They had a heavy duty, a light duty, and then like a regular. I got the regular, is what they called it, regular. I got the regular on hand. But kind of what you're going to want to do is I'm going to lay it out next to this guy. And I'm going to measure out the distance from the lower hose to the bottom of it. The higher hose, you know, as long as it's pretty much same, the mounting points are measurements we want to take. the thickness. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the measuring tape, and we'll get it all measured up and make sure they match. But what you're gonna want to run through when you encounter this is, let me go on this opposite end so I could explain it a little bit better. Here's that harness I showed you guys earlier. Unclip that so it's out the way. The cooling fans have 2 10s. Let me get to that right here. It's upside down right now, but it goes in right there. So you got a 10 right there, a 10 right there. Once you disconnect the harness for all that, which is right here, these 2 connectors, you just gotta unhook these 2 connectors, unfish the wiring through that. There's little loops, you'll see them if you're working on this car. Once you hit that point, what you're gonna want to do is, as you guys can tell, sorry if I'm kind of moving around too much on you guys, just trying to explain. I went ahead and loosened up this light. You don't need to do that though. What you're gonna want to do is you're gonna have some plastic clips. You're gonna go ahead and take off the plastic clips. You're gonna want to bolt to 10 here. There's gonna be 2 10s right on the AC condenser, one up top, really hard to get to, and then one down here. So this is where those clips go. You see that right there? So the clips go right in here. There's plastic clips. You pry them off, take off the 10 here, and then if you move this to the side, you got this little bit of room where you could unbolt the 2 10s. Once you unbolt those 2 10s, they're really hard to get to. If you got time, it sounds crazy, but I recommend you just take off the whole bumper and all that if you got time. This one's going to be a quick job. I did a pretty good quote for them, so we're not going to go through all that hassle. Sorry guys, I thought I was going to be able to show you the 2 down at the bottom, but trust me, they're there. They're easier to get to than the ones up top. I'm going to go ahead and start at the bottom. I'm going to get those 2, then I'll get the 2 up top, then I'll put the main brackets that I showed you earlier right up top. Once I do that, all I got to do is connect the hoses, the main upper hose, lower hose, and then put back the fans. So it's pretty simple. It's just a matter of fishing the 10 mil bolts through, and kind of just trying to make it work like that. Like I said, it might be easier if you take off the grill or the actual bumper. They might come off in one piece. I'm not too sure, but I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it the way I just mentioned. Let me go ahead and flip the camera also so I could show you guys these new lug nuts that I went ahead and threw on. That way you guys get an idea of what was causing that bump. Okay, so back to the wheel. I was able to put the 4 in. We're going to have to recommend a new stud for this one. It's all rusted up and there's no threads to bite onto. But I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get you guys kind of in at an angle where you guys can see that these acorn nuts actually seep through pretty good. These bolts or lug nuts are usually go on aftermarket wheels, and they fit pretty nice with aftermarket wheels. This is what I had on. You'd think these would fit because they're acorn nuts too, but what would happen is they would bottom out before you could even get them all the way down to the stud. So pretty sure that's what was causing it. We'll take it on test drive. We'll go ahead and take it on a test drive right after I get this radiator in with some coolant, and we'll see how she's running then. Alright, as you guys can tell, I got this thing running. I'll go ahead and flip the camera so you see what we got going on. So the next step is going to be to bleed out the system. We got a bleeder little nut right there that we could use. I like to do it the old-fashioned way with the funnel. I'm going to go ahead and pull all that out, let it run for a while, let it idle. Then we'll take it on a test drive now that I got these lug nuts put on and looking half decent for now, just until we get that stud replaced. I still got to take off that wheel, the wheel on that side, and the front wheel, and change them out to all matching studs, or all matching lug nuts actually is what I meant by that. We'll take it on a test drive though right after this thing's blended out. I know this isn't a how-to video, but I decided to put something out there for you guys, kind of walk you guys through it. That way you guys can kind of know what to expect. So I'm going to leave you guys with that one. Thank you guys for watching.